It's because the Tibetans feel that they have this time with the Olympic spotlight coming up to press their human rights case. The Dalai Lama has said that he believes and he insists on non-violent protest and non-violent campaign, and they are trying to say, we want our autonomy, we want our religious and other freedoms in Tibet. And so this is why this is happening now, Kieran.
And Chinese leaders are, of course, blaming the Dalai Lama. They're saying that that's the reason why the violence has happened. You had a chance to sit down with him, as you said. What did he tell you?
Well, the Dalai Lama and the Tibetans have been exiled since about 1959. They're coming up to their 50th year in exile, and the Chinese are not meeting the Dalai Lama even halfway. They insist that the Dalai Lama wants full independence. They call him a separatist, a splittist. The Dalai Lama has said since 1979 that he has stepped back from the demand of independence and that he wants for the Tibetan people what they call genuine autonomy. Nonetheless, the Chinese have basically refused to meet him even halfway. And right now, the US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, since these protests have begun, has urged the Chinese government to sit down and negotiate with the Dalai Lama over the terms of what should happen in Tibet in the future. Dalai Lama, as I say, stepped back. He has this middle way path, not independence but full autonomy, and he says to the young impatient Tibetans in exile that that's the only realistic way forward. Listen to what he said to us.
They should give us meaningful autonomy so that we can keep our own sort of Buddhist culture or cultural heritage. We have to accept the reality, how much we can do.
So that is the Dalai Lama's position, publicly, privately, and in talks between his representatives and the Chinese government. Chinese keeps blaming him and publicly saying that what he says is a lie, basically. They're accusing him of lying. But nonetheless, he has proved that he wants non-violence. He's had several meetings, or at least his representatives have, with the Chinese, but the latest ones last summer basically got nowhere. And in the meantime, the Chinese, on their high-speed new train, are filling Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, and filling Tibet with ethnic Chinese, so that the capital Lhasa is now predominantly Chinese. The Tibetans, whose homeland it is, are in the minority, and that's why the Tibetans are getting very anxious and eager to press their case.
The other question, with, of course, questions arising about China's human rights record, they say that they want the protesters to surrender and that the deadline has already passed for that to happen. What would happen to the people if they were to surrender to the military?
Well, look, it's hard to say. What we do know is that there have been a lot of arrests regularly. There are a lot of arrests inside Tibet, those who are seen to be allied, and all of them are, with the Dalai Lama, or outspokenly calling for free Tibet. Many, many people are arrested. Monks are arrested for not because they want to practice their religion freely. So clearly, if some of these people are identified by China as being troublemakers, they will likely be arrested. But what's interesting is the way China has allowed footage and pictures to be released, because what they're trying to show the world is that they are not doing another Tiananmen Square, in other words, another midnight massacre of freedom protesters in Lhasa, as they did in Tiananmen in 1989. And they also want to show that actually it's a lot of the Chinese businesses that have been targeted in this latest round of protest.